Guys, congratulations. Last two teams standing after the longest season and postseason in the history of big-time football. What has it taken for your teams to get here, and what will it take to win on Monday? Ryan?
Well, it's taken resilience. I think when you looked at the way this playoff could play out when you started the season, you put a plan together the best you can. You put your roster together, you put your plan together, you sit down with your coaches and your strength staff and try to plot out what that looks like. And that starts, around this time last year and then builds into the preseason and then throughout the season. But you knew it was going to be a long road, and you never knew exactly, the twists and turns that were going to come. But building the foundation early in the season for us was important, knowing that storms were going to come and that the foundation was going to have to be there when those came to be able to get to where we are right now.
Anything extra needed Monday, or is the foundation enough?
I think now you have to finish what you started, and it's not exactly how you start in life; it's how you finish, and that has to be the lessons. And I know, Marcus and I, both believe in the fact that you want to bring guys along and give them life lessons along the way, because we get so enamored with trophies and different things, but it's these life lessons that these guys have learned, and we've learned a lot this year.
Marcus, on your side, you've already won 2 big bowl games. Confetti has fallen. That's a big deal for Notre Dame lately, yet the job's far from done. What does it take from your group?
Yeah, you think about how this season has gone, and it's so funny. I always say the journey's never how you foresee it on the front end. And week 1 with the highest of highs of beating Texas A&M at College Station was huge win, to the following week the lowest of lows. And there's things that happen that teach you lessons, and you have to be able to handle success. It was the first one we had to learn to start the season, how to handle success and how to prepare for any opponent. And then we're down at half versus NIU, and the next time we're tied at half was USC. So we failed the first test, and we had to pass the next test, and we were able to do that. Then we're down versus Penn State at half, 7 points, and we were able to come back and win that game. And so I think there's little things throughout the entire season that your team has to learn to put yourself in a position that we're in. And now as you get ready to play a great opponent in Ohio State, and Coach Day's done a terrific job, you can't ask them to do something they haven't done before. Right? You can't ask them to do something they haven't done before. We just got to do what we do, but do it better. And that will be the message. And go out there and play the game of football.
People see this as a time of turmoil in college football, transactional, portal, NIL. But both your teams are built around cores of veteran players that came, stayed, and developed. Ryan, from your perspective, what's it like to coach some of these guys who played 40, 50, sometimes 60 games, the last ride, and try to help them go out on top?
Well, you say when you recruit young men that you're bringing them into your family, and I think sometimes as coaches we say that, but this team feels like family just because we've been through a lot together, but we've been around each other so much. And so when these 4th and 5th year seniors decided to come back together and go through this journey together, that made it special. And that's really, in today's day and age, I think it matters to have, more mature guys on your team. We've always had talented guys, but we weren't always mature. And we knew with this many games, the twists and turns along the way, and also being able to sustain for an extended period of time. I think that's a big part of it as well, is having the maturity in, week 14, 15, 16. And we were just talking about how, we started our season and are going to end our season, and that stretches longer than most NFL teams are playing right now. So for, young men to be able to, wipe the slate clean every single week and redo what they've been doing week in and week out, I think it matters when you have a mature team.
For us neutrals, Ohio State, Notre Dame is a pretty tasty matchup. It's not just another game for a championship. The Mount Rushmores are ridiculous Hall of Fame players and coaches on both sides. It's been a little bit of time at Ohio State. The fans don't like a 10-year drought, but Marcus, it's been a long time at Notre Dame, since 1988. So what is the opportunity and the responsibility of your team being perhaps the one to end that drought? How does it frame the challenge on Monday for them?
Yeah, we're grateful. We're grateful for the opportunity. The reality is that, it's been since 1988 since this program has won a national championship, but every year since then, the goal is to win a national championship. That doesn't, just because you haven't won just doesn't mean that the goal doesn't change each season. And so, we've done a good enough job to now be in this position we know if we win, we got a chance to be national champions. But what I don't want our group to do is put unnecessary pressure on themselves. Our job is go out there and reach our full potential. And our job is go out there and win this play. And if you do that well enough and the result of that is winning, then guess what? You'll be called national champions. But don't add unnecessary pressure of being the team to end this drought of national titles, because that isn't going to help you win this game. It's going to be the execution.
Year one of the 12 team, redemption has been a cool theme to see. The opportunity to stumble but recover. You mentioned Northern Illinois, Michigan, both cases a loss that shook the faith of a lot of the fans, but apparently didn't shake the faith of your teams. In what way was that loss maybe essential fuel to be sitting here today?
You know, I think about what we talked about, that foundation along the way. Those storms are going to come, and when you play the game of football, you know, you have the opportunity to go win a trophy, but you also run the risk of not winning. And so along the way, you have to learn and grow and build. And, you know, you learn a lot about your team when you go through adversity. That's it. And how you come out of that in the back end is what really matters. And isn't that life? You know, adversity is right around the corner. It's coming. In your life, it's coming in the game of football. And so how you respond to those moments really defines your character. And I think that's probably the biggest lesson we've learned this season. But like I've shared, you know, these stories really don't get told unless you win. That's just the truth of it, you know, and these guys understand that. But, you know, I think for the first time going through this you know, 16-game season for us, we've learned a lot. But we also know that moving forward, those moments, you know, the opportunities have a chance to galvanize our team.
Talked about the core of stalwarts, but you've got both used the portal strategically very well, including both quarterbacks. Both quarterbacks had a lot of experience, but neither had been near a stage quite this big. So what is it about Riley Leonard that makes you and his teammates believe he can be his best self on the biggest stage against Ryan's very good defense?
Yeah, I think as you studied Riley Leonard last year, where he was at previously, and you look at what he's done this year in the biggest moments, he wants the ball in his hands and he shows up. And that's what I know about Riley Leonard. He is the ultimate competitor. He wants the ball in his hands and he wants to make the decisions. And I have a lot of confidence in the biggest moments, putting the ball in his hands. And so he is a young man that just loves the game of football. He's a great leader, puts everything he has into preparation. And man, he's a great teammate. And I can't wait to see how he performs in the biggest stage.
And for Will Howard, two almost flawless performances in the first two playoff games. Wasn't perfect against Texas, but he was clutch. What gives you belief he can be his best on Monday?
Well, I think it's a great matchup. Kind of interesting stories between Riley Leonard and Will Howard, you know, and just to piggyback off of Marcus, I mean, Riley Leonard is one heck of a competitor. He is a leader. And it's going to be great to see these two guys go back and forth in this battle. And I just think that they're both really competitive guys who are both great leaders. I think for Will, you know, he knows that going up against this defense that, you know, we got our hands full. They're one of the best defenses in the country. These guys do an unbelievable job. And it really isn't about the scheme. The scheme is very, very good. It's how they play, you know. And so it's easy to come up with different schemes along the way, but really it's how they play. They play really, really hard. Their technique is excellent. They know how you're trying to attack them. And so, you know, Will's worked really hard. He's going to continue to prepare all the way to the game.
Monday's Martin Luther King Day, the day of the championship game. Marcus, you're the first black head coach and first Asian American head coach to coach in a championship game. I know that means a lot to many people. I've heard from them. What does it mean to you?
You know, the significance of Martin Luther King Day is to shine a light on what he's done for our country and his leadership and sacrifice and the life that he chose to put action into his beliefs and to make our country a better place. And this isn't about, Martin Luther King isn't about the college football playoffs. It's not about me being the first black or Asian head coach. The significance of this day is to shine a light on a man that was a man of faith, a man of character, a man of community, and a man that believed in his faith in this country so much that he ended up giving his life for it. And so I wouldn't be here without a man like Martin Luther King and the actions that he really displayed for our country. As far as being the first black and Asian head coach to play in this game, to coach in this game, I'm very grateful, humbled, honored to be in this situation. I understand the significance of it. There's many young people in both of our locker rooms that look like me that I hope, if they want to be a coach, get the opportunity to. Not based off how you look, but the content of your work. And so, as you've heard me say multiple times, though, I don't love the intention to be on me being the first, because it takes away from the reality of why we're here. And it's because it's everybody in that locker room and everybody that has a part in our football program. And that's what's important, right? It's not the individual glory that some people aspire to have. It's the team. It's everybody choosing to sacrifice for more than themselves. And so that's why I'm grateful and I'm honored, but I also want to make sure we continue to turn the attention back to the team, because ultimately they're the ones that are out there doing it.
Beautifully put. You guys talked about family. That includes coaches. Chip Kelly, one of the many really exceptional hires you guys have each made on your staff. You've known him since you're 5, 6 years old, Manchester, New Hampshire. You quarterback for him at the University of New Hampshire. You've been together, linked periodically, some good times, some bad times, including this year, right?
Sure.
What would it be like to share a hug with a guy who almost is family if things work out on Monday night?
Yeah, trying not to go there, trying to stay focused on our work. But Chip's meant a lot to me. And, he's one of many that has had an impact on my life. But the fact that we grew up in the same area, the funny story is that I was not going to the University of New Hampshire until he kind of talked me into it. I was actually in the cafeteria, and the payphone rang in the cafeteria, and someone said, it's Coach Kelly on the phone, so I ran over there. And at that point, I committed to going to school to play for him. And then, we had a great time at the University of New Hampshire, and then had an opportunity to, he kind of helped me along the way, and then I worked for him. And so, we've just had different points of our careers where we've come together, but obviously the friendship is what matters the most. And his wife Jill and Nina are very, very close. So it would be special, yeah.
I always try this question, last thing. If you could ask a question of your counterpart and hope to get a transparent answer about the game, what would it be? What would you ask?
How many different ways you're going to try to get the ball to number 4? That's what I want to know. He is. They got an unbelievable team. They're great talent, well coached. They got some special players, and so, that was the one question. Hey, how many different ways you're going to get the ball to number 4? But I got a lot of respect for Coach Day. Being a former player, obviously when we're not, when you're not playing them, I'm a huge Ohio State fan. That's your alma mater, and the job he's done leading that program has been tremendous, and so got a lot of respect for him.
I don't think the Jeremiah Smith plan is going to be revealed.
No, I don't think
so. Ryan, what would your question to Marcus be?
There's a lot of questions I would have. There's so many different things that I watched in the Georgia game and the Penn State game most recently that the way that the team continues to play hard, play in and play out. I mean, every play they keep coming at you. And so you can't take a play off against Notre Dame. You can't in all 3 phases. You think about how in the offensive, they're always trying to put stress on you with +1 runs. Love is just tremendous at what he does, and Leonard's always finding a way to get that first down and continue to keep drives going. On defense, they're challenging you on everything that they do, and then on special teams, it's a huge challenge. And they're always putting pressure on you. So there's not just one question I would ask, but. We know that we have a great opponent here, and when you're playing in the national championship, of course you do. And just seeing the way that those guys have played on those big stages these last few weeks has been tremendous, and so we know it's going to be a huge battle.
It's a treat to have both of your teams and your programs and what they represent collide in this game. I wish you an injury-free game and no controversial calls. Exciting things. Does that sound okay?
Sounds like a plan to me.
Sounds great.